are at 322 East 6th Street, down in the Lower East Side, East Village, New York City. Me and my family live down here at 322 East 6th Street. Right down here, this Indian restaurant, the Raj Mahal, used to be Chateau Kain. And as you can see, there's Indian restaurants all over the place. Little India down here. And even back then, they had that block on lock. And it's funny, I still don't eat Indian food. A childhood in New York City is unlike no other. I mean, because the languages you hear here, the different cultures. We had artists, photographers, drug dealers, the Hells Angels, there was a couple of blocks down. This was a nice neighborhood. I mean, poor but nice, eclectic. I wonder if the Hells Angels spot is still down the block over here. That would be interesting. They were never disrespectful to us. We were never disrespectful to them. They did. They looked out for us. They made sure that the neighborhood was safer than it normally would have been. As a matter of fact, we better get from in front of that spot before. When I was 11 years old, I used to carry a knife in my back pocket, a 007. And those who don't know what a 007 is, it's like a wooden knife, a folding knife. But it was like, when you open it up, it's like this big. And please, I was only about that big. And you know, you could see the kids that were carrying that joint, and like, you knew, like, leave him alone, leave Shorty alone. He was, you know, ready for anything. I mean, by the time I did Juice, I had already lost four friends. Not to just sickness or anything like that, but to gun violence, you know? Like, it's one thing when somebody close to you dies, it's another thing when somebody close to you has been murdered. How different was this neighborhood? To be quite honest, what I love about New York, a lot of the buildings are old, so they look the same. You know, they get cleaned up a little bit, they get painted and refurbished. It feels the same. There's just a lot more white faces, that's all, you know? And the rent's much higher, I'm sure. Even moving back to the city, like I live down in Tribeca now, and like I don't feel welcome walking around there. The building that I live in, they look at me like, what am I doing here, you know? And I'm like, wow, I've been here before you, way before you. I've had that apartment since I was 19. I think honestly, this block has a lot to do with the type of person that I am. When I grew up here as a kid, they were all different types of people from all different types of places. And I mean, within one block, there were so many different cultures. I've always been an available person. I've always been open, friendly. How you doing, Mom? Yo, this is crazy. But the apartment where my family lived is now an Indian restaurant. I'm gonna stand up and you can see like what we lived in. This was, you know, me, my mother, my sister, my brother, and whomever else needed a spot to crash. Look at this. I guess I could look at it like I came up from here, but I'm still very much here. This is always gonna be a part of me. I'm always gonna come from 6th Street.
The best thing about growing up over here as a kid is that this is Big Hood, you know. He's the king of this, he's the king of all this. Big lived down here in the middle of the block. So when I say we was that close, it really was, like 30 seconds away or whatever. This was Big crib right here. So you see, this is 226 St. James. I was 133 St. James, so it was that close, but that's where Big was at.